Hang on one second. Aaron, I'm just hopping on the mastermind call. Why don't you come on? Otherwise, let's talk later, okay? All right, buddy. No problem. Bye. Mr. Wittenstein calling me back.
Yep.
I love all these Roger Lacey. I love all these little avatars that you guys have with your own head on them. Those are eye-catching.
I made one for you, but I only show it to certain people.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yes. I appreciate that. I don't know, Cameron. I think I like your avatar better. Nothing personal.
You know, I've hid behind that thing for 5 years.
That's right. We have a real estate agent in my market that she's in her 70s. I swear she still uses her high school graduation picture for marketing. So people show up and they're a little disappointed.
Don't be such an ageist, Jim.
Well, I can't afford to be.
No kidding. I was going to point that out.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly. It's like all our coaches are here. All right. I think the room is filled up nicely. Eric, it's 2 minutes after. Let's go ahead and get the show on the road, please. Welcome to our amazing agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 442. I do have a little something I wanted to start with today to talk to you all about, and yeah, there's a few reasons I want to bring it up. First of all, you know, the things that we recommend on this call, believe it or not, we actually do try to practice what we preach, and we do the same things as a company. You know, as a company, we regularly send out letters. We've got an incredible sales team that handles incoming and outgoing calls. We don't do social media marketing. We always look at our numbers and try to make adjustments. And one thing really jumped out that I noticed the earlier part of this year was the incredible number of new subscribers we had that were coming as recommendations from our existing subscribers. So first of all, I really wanted to sincerely thank you all for that. And obviously that is probably the most cost-effective method of marketing because it really only costs you doing a good job, and hopefully people refer people to you. And I wanted to remind you all, I'm sure you do that in your business, but don't forget that's a great source for all of you guys in your business, your existing clients and your past clients in your sphere of influence. You know, regularly ask them, and you'd be surprised. We've been very lucky because it's come without really asking you guys. And number one, I can't tell you, you know, how much we appreciate it. A second reason I really wanted to mention it to you, most of you know that I've had a real estate license for longer than a lot of you have been alive. And believe me, I know, and I think Tim understands and our coaches know what it's like to wake up on the first of every month, basically unemployed. You know, in real estate, if you don't go out and make something happen, you know, you're not going to pay the bills that month. And we do have a really unique opportunity that realtors don't see a lot to earn residual income. A lot of you just send us people. A lot of you are affiliates. It just occurred to me that some of you may not know that we do have what I think is a pretty generous affiliate program. And, you know, we have subscribers we've got a lot of subscribers that have generated 3 figures a month. We've got a couple 4, and I think we have several that are in the 4 digits. And I know we have a couple that have actually generated, you know, 5 digits. All right, Tim, I'm not going to say 6 and 7. So
I'm not talking to you. I was waving to someone else.
I thought you were calling me unexaggerating. So,
oh, well, you never do that, Jim.
I never do. We do have a couple subscribers over the years, and they're companies basically that have generated 5 digits of monthly residual income just from sending referrals to us. So Tim, this might be a little premature. We want to make that a little bit easier for you to do. And I know our marketing department is in the process of putting together some materials that you can just kind of take, cut and paste, or use to send out to your sphere of influence to help you generate a little residual income and to help us grow our business. Tim, did I announce that prematurely?
Why, of course.
Okay, but go ahead. Go ahead. Take it from there, please.
No, you didn't. We actually are obviously what Jim is talking about is that we do want to make sure that you understand, and we're going to absolutely be rolling out a lot more programs that work with all of our affiliates. And previously we had kind of differentiated between subscriber referrals and affiliates. And we did that in our own CRM where we manage our business and looked at it that way. And the more we talked about it, the more we realized that, everybody is really an affiliate and we ought to approach it all the same way. So we were already working with our, larger affiliates, people who have large followings, large coaching companies, people like that who have been recommending us for years, and we work with them. And so we're working to rekindle those relationships all the time, because just like in your business where you're wanting to be top of mind at the right time, we have to do the same thing. If we're going to be top of mind with, major influencers and affiliates, we've got to do things to make that happen. And it's one of the things that we're doing right now. We're in what we call this year is our tweaking year. We've got a lot of processes in place. And one of the things that we're dealing with is exactly that. What can we do to take the things that we've already put into place and make them more efficient? So that's one of the things we're doing. So we are indeed going to give you some content that you can send out. And obviously what we're looking for is for you to be able to, when you're talking to someone in a market that's not a competitor and you want to give them a good treat and help them out to help them grow their business like we're helping you grow your business, we'd love for you to make that referral. And there's no better lead than could come in the door than a referral from somebody who is using our system and being happy with it. So that's what this is all about. And we'll be looking for stuff to come out, and we'll give you some more details on it. And Jim, did you say that Alyssa had something she was going to put up now or later on in the call? Or
I'm not sure, Alyssa, if you do, I know it's really easy if you're interested in learning more or being an affiliate. You just go to www.alltheleads.com/affiliates. And I think Alyssa had a link to that effect. And Alyssa, if you have anything, I'm sorry, alltheleads.com/affiliates. One thing, I don't know if I quoted the statistic, which just has amazed me. Consistently this year, about 50% of our new sales are coming from you guys, from affiliates and existing clients. And that is just remarkable. I wish the same for all of you in your business. And I don't know if I said it enough. I really can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Did Alyssa put something? She may have put something up in chat.
no, the link to the it's up on.
Okay,
it's the link
got it.
you talked about.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Jim, you want to talk about in regard to that?
No, I think it's a good way to start the call. Go ahead,
All right.
please.
Sounds like a plan, man. So Bruce is off in the wilderness today. He's out speaking somewhere. I've forgotten exactly where Bruce is today, but I think he's talking to the local RIA where he is. I know he's back home. He was in Atlanta earlier this week, and I think he's talking to his local RIA. And Coach Ken just joined us. So if you'll make him a host as well, Eric, that would be great. And now, as Jim said previously, all of our coaches are here. So we've got all of them there. Ken had to finish up a coaching call before he joined us. And so we're here to answer your questions. That's the purpose of this call. We're here to talk with you. We want to hear anything you're running into that's causing you challenges, anything that we can do better for you, any suggestions that you have. And more importantly, we'd like to hear great successes that you've got, things that are going on in your world that you can share with other people to not only encourage them, but also to let us know how well you're doing. That's what we're here for. So that's kind of the purpose of this call. And it's up for you. Cam, I understand from talking with Toby, you said you're kind of rocking and rolling. You've got some deals in the hopper, and maybe I'll start with you while we're waiting for people to raise their hand. Also, if you want to talk with us, ask us a question, all you have to do is raise your hand, and we'll be glad to go do that. And it's a simple process to do that. Just click on the reactions button on the bottom of your screen, and I see there's already a hand up. And Cameron, while you're getting ready there, I'm going to go ahead and ask Sam to unmute. And Sam, let's take your hand up there. What you need, bud?
Hey, thanks, Tim. Quick question. I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and I kind of slacked off. So now my marketplace, the inventory is really low, so I really want to ramp up. One of the agents that I know told me that she works with court-appointed attorneys, and I was trying to figure out how I can get some of those relationships going, and also where can I find the list. Most of my business now comes from attorneys that are not necessarily appointed by the court and send me leads periodically, but when they are appointed by the court, I'm in DC and Maryland, they need a realtor. So what would be the best strategy to, create a relationship with them and get more deals?
Sure. For starters, have you inquired at the court level to see if there is a list of those attorneys?
No, actually, I plan to do that tomorrow, and I plan to go down there on those days that they do have court. I think it's 3 days in DC. So that was one avenue to find out if the clerks or if the department down there would give me a list. I think they would probably, because I may have clients that may need an attorney representing them. So I don't think it's a private list.
Right. And I think that's kind of the key element there. The folks that do that and kind of sign up for that program in most jurisdictions, they're doing it to build their clientele. They're not doing it just because they want to make the relatively diminished payoff they may get out of that. They're looking to build that relationship. So I'd say start there. The other thing that you can always do is to, go into Google and simply search for probate attorneys, and you'll get a list. And if you don't find them under probate, do family law, and you'll find that's a good source. And, just start dialing for dollars. And then obviously, if you're getting leads from us, we give you the attorney's names, and we always encourage you to go in and take every list that you get and sort the attorney column. And what you'll find is that in every case, multiple attorneys an attorney is going to be handling multiple cases in your records every month, because the people who specialize in it, that's what they do. So you sort your list, and whoever shows up on the top as handling the most cases that month, that's the person you need to focus on.
Tim, that's been great. I really appreciate it. As I said, I know that that marketplace we're in, it's always been great. It's even more important now because it definitely creates inventory out there in our space. So thanks again for your advice, Tim.
I also want to talk, I want to add one other thing. There's certainly a better expert than me on this. Bill, would you like to chime in a little bit about that? Because I know that this is an area that you kind of work in, and I'm going to unmute you if you will.
Wow, thanks, Tim. It's nice of you to say. First, Sam asked about court-appointed attorneys. People who subscribe to all the leads, when I started, I also analyzed the data. And so if you have a download, a CSV or Excel format, you can sort by the attorney field in the database. And obviously the ones, I don't know how proficient you are in Excel, but you can just sort them and see the ones that have the most. Or you can even do subtotals by attorney name and see the ones that have the most. That way, if you want to get a little more sophisticated. So that's what I did when I started. And obviously decided I wanted to target the attorneys that had the most cases. What I found was, to his question, the attorneys who work for the county had the most cases by far. Now, in my county, you can't do business with them because in LA County, they treat you like a government vendor. They do a bid. You can do business with them, but you're competing with a national company where they do a request for a proposal. You do a formal proposal process. And I'm sure this in the county of LA, I'm sure there's graft and payola to get that bid. So I'm not competing for that business. So I can't do business with those attorneys. In other counties, though, I think you can. Other counties, typically, the judge just picks some based on, who they feel comfortable with or who's in the room at that time. So I would sort by the field attorney. That's who does the most in your county. And I know that's not within the format of that out leads, but you can download the data and play with Excel and get that kind of information.
Great. Last question for you, and I appreciate that. A conversation with a court-appointed attorney versus attorneys that I've met and I am doing business with, is that the same conversation? And I didn't think so. I haven't had success with the court-appointed attorneys, and any advice like you can give on what they're looking for versus a more established attorney that has a good book of business and you're helping feed their funnel.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in. Basically what I would say is, everybody's looking for a competent realtor. Obviously, hopefully you have some social proof reviews, things like that to show them that you are competent. But beyond that, just like we say on these phone calls, people are looking for relationships. So I do love the idea of going down to the courthouse, because you're meeting people that are showing up that actually want to interact in the real world, and then you can form relationships. So what I would suggest is have a few questions, so when you start talking to these attorneys, that you can get them engaged in the conversation with you. And then, like realtors, we know we share these war stories. I had this deal, that deal, endless stories of what happened or didn't happen. But if you can get these attorneys involved in that kind of conversation, and then you just start building a natural rapport and friendship with them, then eventually that is going to lead to that attorney relationship. Well, once they get to know you as a person, then they're going to start asking, oh, okay, well, how many deals have you done? Or, what's your experience in the field, to see if they would like to make you one of their, realtors that they're going to send deals to. But first you got to start with the relationship. I mean, that's what we teach at all the leads. Don't be a bull in a china closet, build rapport first, show empathy first, and then go into the offer. Because again, if they know that you care and you have rapport, then that's when they're going to be receptive to working with you, no matter what it is.
Man, I agree with you 100%. Thank you for reinforcing that and reminding me it's about relationships and just the new pool of individuals that I need to establish a relationship with. So thanks so much for that.
Yeah, you're on the right track. So yeah, keep it up.
Hey, Bill,
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Let's ask one other question so we can kind of bring this, because we talk about this a bunch. Let everybody who's on here, all the other coaches as well. And I know the answer, but I'm going to let you guys comment on it. But what is the main thing that an attorney is going to want to work with you for? What are you bringing to the game that attorney is going to say, oh, well, that's somebody I really want to work with? What is that?
I think it varies, like everything in sales, it varies by the customer. And you have to ask that question. I think that, to what Ken said, we don't want to hammer people. I have a hammer and hit them on the head and then get relations with people who like hammers hit on their head. We want to ask what tool they want us to provide and provide that. So, and I do things about relationships. So coffee, lunch. Attorneys are very much, COVID aside, attorneys are very much into meeting together in person for lunch or coffee. You can invest the time and money. I would say do that. If you meet them socially meet them in the courthouse in a social manner, you're in the hallway, you introduce yourself, they seem nice, they seem to like you, not to talk about business, to build a relationship. I think that would be it. Because the attorneys are all different. Somewhat you'd help them with marketing, somewhat you'd help them with their paralegal doesn't know what they're doing. If you know how to add value, that's, depends on how you can add value to their business. But I think Ken's right. Find out what they're asking for, and I would give them that, and I would take the time to try to meet them, pop by their office with a Starbucks or something is another option.
Yeah, you bet. And I think every time we talk about this, one of the main things usually comes out is that obviously the main thing that they're concerned about is time, because that's their billable commodity. And so anything that you're going to do that is going to help either alleviate their time burden, have more time available to do the other things that they can do to charge for, and in some cases to get the job done faster, because in some cases they may not be able to get any money at all until they get it settled and closed. And it just depends on your market. And, Bill's making a really good point about that you got to ask them. But for the most part, it's a reasonably safe thing to assume that if you can establish yourself as a person who can save them time or alleviate some of their time burden, that's you're going to be a star with them. And you got to, Bill's right, you got to find them where they are and take every advantage doing that. But it's one of the very, very best sources of information and lead that you can get. I know that Roger is on here as well, or was on here earlier. He kind of sometimes hops in and out. But Roger, I'm going to, if you don't mind, if you're here, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and a very quick comment from you about the fact that your relationships with the attorneys have helped you out dramatically as you built your business. Are you still there, bud? We'll come back to Roger in a bit. He may be off.
Hey, Tim, are you there, Roger? I was just going to say real quick, when Bill was talking, it occurred to me, it's not too different than the approach that we recommend with the subscribers. You start off by asking them a question: what's the most difficult part of this and how can I help you? I can see that same conversation with an attorney, what can I do to make your job easier? What's the most difficult part for you as an attorney and how can I help you? It's basically the same process. Ask a good question, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. And I interrupted you, Ken. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just basically on building the relationship. Most of these courthouses are downtown. So typically there's going to be business, coffee shops around there. So again, you start that engagement with the attorney, you get a little good conversation going. And then you have a coffee shop around the corner. You're just like, hey, oh my God, I'd love to hear more about this. Hey, I'm going to go grab a coffee around the corner. It's halfway down the block. You want to join me? I'd love to grab you a coffee. So you can tell me more about the inner workings of how the process is behind the scenes. And again, have some good questions to ask, but, be intentional with your plan. When you go to the courthouse, you start talking to these attorneys, have a coffee shop down the block to bring them to, that a lot of people drink coffee, right? So they probably, want to get another cup before they get into their day. So there's a high probability if you start a good conversation that they're going to be like, sure, you can buy me a cup of coffee, build the relationship.
Great. Anybody else have any other questions about attorney relationships? Just the important thing to remember is that we've given you gold in your leads. That's why we give you the attorneys wherever we have them. And in some cases, the courts don't put them on the docket, so we don't have them. We don't know who's there, but in every case where it's possible, we do. And most of our leads, we furnish that for sure. So we definitely have it, and go in and sort them, see who's doing the most in your market. You need to find a way to reach out to those people. And there are people on this call and off this call who have literally built their business around those relationships. And every month they get referrals from those attorneys because they know they're reliable. They know they understand the process. They also know that they understand, what's necessary to get something done in probate, and that they've learned to work with families. That's the key element, is that, every realtor that's out there doesn't understand the dynamic of working with families in probate. And that's what we teach. It's what we talk about. It's what we give you material for. It's what our letters point to. It's what your website points to. It's you are that expert. So that's important to deal with. Scott, are you raising your hand or are you just moving it around there, bud?
Hey, Tim, while we're waiting for the next person, I don't see any hands up. I don't see any questions. Come on, guys. One of my all-time favorite stories we've spoken to before. If you've got a major attorney player in your market, we had a subscriber, it was probably a year and a half ago, but he had a guy who was generating multiple deals every month. I don't remember what the number was, but it was half a dozen or more per month. An attorney couldn't get past the gatekeeper, couldn't couldn't stop by the office, just couldn't get the guy's time of day. He just called and booked an hour of the guy's time. He paid him $200 to go set an appointment, book book an appointment with the attorney where he had to sit there and listen to him. And it worked out great for him. The attorney said his 30 years in the business, he never had anybody pay him to pitch him something, especially when it was what he was pitching him on was helpful. So that's just an out of the box, wouldn't do that with every attorney. But if you got a major player that you can't get, it's an interesting way to ensure that you get in front of them.
For sure. And obviously, be creative, be audacious, step up and do what you need to go do. You get that one good attorney relationship who's dealing with, 10 new probate opportunities in a month, and they built their practice around that. And that becomes your best bud that you're working with. You're going a long way towards building that business. Hey, Cam, I am gonna get back to you now and ask you if you would. Yeah, you, the guy with the finger pointing at yourself there.
What's up?
Hey, so according to Toby, I talked to him. He said you've got some stuff cooking deal wise and all that. Anything you'd like to share with the group?
Yeah, man. I mean, I am not on any attorney's list. I wish I was. I wish I was more diligent about building those relationships. I actually have even compiled a list going through my ATL CRM. Honestly, I did it 2 years ago and I did nothing about it, but I have this spreadsheet of every local probate attorney, and I just have not taken action on it. But it's a good reminder talking about that, because God, who wouldn't love to be on one of those attorneys, lists? I have one in town that I've done some favors for, and I'm like, hey, you don't need to pay me. You just put me on that list. You know what I mean? You just put me at the top of that list and give me referrals. Anyhow, yeah, dude, I have I am a probate junkie, man. I love probate and I love hunting. So I'm very proactive in making my calls and making connections. And what I've learned, no matter what lead source it is I just stay authentic, like be you. And when it hits, and do a lot of that, do a lot of being you in your business. And when it hits, like, it's just a good connection. So for instance, I'm getting there. I have an appointment in about 45 minutes. So I am going to have to jump off with a probate administrator that I'm in California, and this administrator is actually living in Utah, but her parents were here. And man, I followed up. I posted a screenshot of it in our Facebook group, and I could read the text. The text, she said, Cameron, I'll just paraphrase it. The text said, Cameron, sorry, I blocked your number. I was getting too many calls. I needed time to grieve. But I really like you, the way your energy, she said, and your professionalism. I was like, okay, and so I would love to meet with you next week. I'm finally ready to sell, so hey, it's a big win, right? Like I love, who doesn't love those text messages? I think that's what I was sharing with Toby, right? So stay consistent, stay talking. And a lot of my calls with all the lead subscribers are, dude, the letters are great. The website is great. And it's great support in the whole system of your probate business, but you have to be calling these people. You don't know who you're going to connect with, right? You just, and you have to be, offering them help. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but if you're not voice to voice with them, don't get defeated by the first one when they say, "Oh, we got it covered. We're not even ready." Call them in another 3 months if you get strong-armed on the phone, and just be there to help, because they're getting tons of calls, man. You're one of many, right? You need to stand out. Anyhow, yeah, man. No, business is good.
All right, bud. Well, thank you. I appreciate hearing from you. That's always good. Appreciate you being here, and good luck with your next call there.
Yeah.
So we got a call that came.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I mean, one of the things, how to build a relationship with the attorney is doing deals in probate, right? For the last 2 years, I'm putting up 2 deals a month, and, it could be more, but if I talk to an attorney, basically I have a lot of reference that I can give them, constantly doing deals. I could probably put them on the phone with some of the people that I've closed deals with that are very happy, that we built a good relationship with. So again, it's with clients or attorneys, you know, part of it's relationship, part of it's social proof. You know, are you building your reviews? Again, the website, the probate checklist, you know, all the tools that all the leads offers, that's part of social proof. But just doing the deals, being consistent, showing that you're constantly able to get, you know, a new property, get it on the market, work through all the nuances that these deals present, and close deals. I mean, that's what the attorney is looking for at the end of the day. Somebody who knows how to list the property properly with the right agent description, whether you're going to go back to probate court or not after they give you initial permission to sell. I mean, basically what they want from you is competency. They want to give you the deal and then know you're going to be able to close it as efficiently as possible. So what Cameron just said, that starts with calling your leads. I mean, the letters, I talked to somebody today, they said they got 3 calls from their letters. I was like, well, that's amazing. It's fantastic. But you still want to be picking up the phone and reinforcing those letters, because depending on your market, you might get a bunch of calls and you might not get that many, but the letters are always going to be super effective if you follow it up with a phone call. And again, you gotta lead very tentatively into that conversation. And I always kind of just try to control the way I'm introducing myself. And I, you know, say, hey, this is a little sensitive, you know, but my understanding is that possibly inherited a home. You know, do I have that right? So you gotta really change your inflection when you get on the phone and let them feel that you're coming with empathy.
Hey, Tim, Roger just indicated his audio is fixed and he's got something to say now. So Roger,
Yeah.
would you unmute yourself, please?
He's unmuted.
Okay, go ahead, Roger.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. You know, I think Bill's got a great idea, going to the attorneys in the probate court and introducing yourself, but limit your conversation to just that. So that they see a face and know what you're doing. Hand them a card, let them know that what you can do, but they're ready to get out of court by the time they're done with what they're doing, because they've got something else to do. And I think that's the main value that we bring. And I think Tim brought that up. In that consider some of the first things out of my mouth when I meet a new attorney is, I know that your time is valuable, but please, can you schedule some time for me to visit with you, so that we can do that. Socially, you might be able to bump into them and visit with them. It's marketing to attorneys is a time saver, and that's what they're looking for. That's the most valuable thing that you can do, and that is the first words out of my mouth when I meet them, is that I think I can save you time, and I think I can answer questions that you don't want to have to answer, that you know the answer to, but I can handle things that are done. And I give them a list of the contractors that I have, so that they can see, or a list of the kinds of contractors that I have, that I say I'm a concierge for all of these guys. These guys know that they may wind up getting paid at closing, because most of the guys that I have now will do the work, but they will wait till closing because they know it's going to close, and because it's in probate. And I tell them, let's make sure you get paid. Give me your receipt, and you always can put a lien on the property if it's something big. I really try not to go into big improvements on the property. And I tell the attorney, I said, you know that you can really, truly, you can get this thing sold really quick, or the family can get this thing sold really quick to a wholesaler, and you're going to get about 50%. What the difference that I can make is I can make a big difference by just looking at what's going to make the house safe, sound, and sanitary. That's all it has to be in order to get FHA financing. And that may not take a whole lot of money to get that done. And I can help the family achieve higher results than just talking to and Pinnell and I have had that conversation on a number of occasions, and I love the last time I heard him say is, you can sell it for as little as you want to get it done. But if you're interested in helping with the family, and telling the family. So doing that, contacting the family and asking the family, I promise not to continue to bother your attorney, but I'd like your permission to talk to your attorney so that he knows that you know that I'm helping you with a couple of items on this thing. And typically they'll say, well, what good is that going to do? They're going to bill me for that. And I said, no, they won't. I'll make sure that that it's a sales call, but I'll do that. And I get past the gatekeeper. Easy to get past the gatekeeper. Biggest thing you got to throw at the gatekeeper is the docket number that's provided on the ATL information. And all of a sudden the gatekeeper goes, oh yeah, that's this attorney. Let me get it to you. Let me get you to him. Getting to him, saving him time, making sure that he knows that he doesn't have to take the first offer that comes in or somebody like that, and get the listing signed and make sure that you keep the attorney in the loop at every move that you make in the property so that he knows that you're doing what you're doing. Constant communication with the attorney does that. Having 4 or 5 that I've done in my small market in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas, I'm getting referrals from those attorneys because they wind up saying, "Oh, I know who to call for that," you know. And I even had the top attorney in the Springdale, Arkansas law firm call me and said, "Roger, somebody told me, one of the eyes in the office told me that to call you, that you could take my brother just died. He's living in a rental unit of a duplex, and his family wants him out of there as soon as possible." And I sit there and I said, "So how can I help you?" And he said, "We need to get that house clear. We need to get that side of the duplex cleared out." And I sit there and I go, "He's deceased. Is this a probate situation?" "Nope, there's no probate. This is in a trust. We just need to get his stuff out." I said, "What's important about all of this right now is getting more for what the personal property is that's in there. You got mid-century furniture, you got TV sets, you got camera equipment and stuff like that. I walked through there. What's important about this?" And he sat there, he says, "The family doesn't want to pay another month's rent." "Oh, no problem. So you don't want to have any value from the personal property?" And he says, "No, the value is that we don't want to pay another month's rent." "No problem. I can take care of that. I got one phone call and I got a guy coming in here who clear the place out and leave it broom swept, no charge, because he's going to sell it. Is that a problem for you and the family?" He said, "It's not a problem. Just get the stuff out. We don't want to pay another month's rent." "Cool, no problem." And he said, "I don't know how I'm going to pay you for this. What do you charge for this, Roger?" And I said, "Jim, you don't have to pay me anything. Your attorney's firm has already given me 3 probates and a divorce case, and I'm doing this, and I'm not doing a whole lot other than just making sure that it's going to get done." And he just basically said, "Really?" Bottom line of the story is, after we got it all cleared out, and he it was one of the nonprofits that I called that does flea market stuff. It's the church-based flea market seller, and they said, "We don't normally do this, but Roger, if you call, we're on it," because they've done it. I've done business with them before, so it's the relationship of my support team coming in. They know who I am. I know what their needs are. And he walked around and he said, "You can call me every day with something like this. We don't normally try to do this, you know," but he cleared it out. I got a $150 steakhouse gift certificate from the attorney. I thanked him and I said, "Keep me in mind next time you need a real estate related business taken care of. I don't take care of the legal stuff, but I can get stuff done for you that and your clients has done it." I've had a real good relationship, and that is the key to dealing with the attorneys. Constant communication, respecting their time on the front end, being available, thanking them for that. And oh, by the way, just for every client that I have over the past several years, everyone gets a loaf of pumpkin bread at Thanksgiving from me, and
Roger,
so it
Roger,
keeps
you
keeps me
baking yourself?
top of mind.
Are you baking those yourself, buddy?
Well,
Hey-
you guys might get last year's. It'll be frozen to get to you.
Hey, Roger, one thing you said there that is really powerful. You know, we were talking before the importance of asking the attorneys and the sellers that question, you know, what's the most difficult part of this for you and how can I help you? Boy, the next question should be, what's important to you about that? What's important to you about getting this done? Because I think the natural assumption that we all tend to make is the most important thing is getting the most amount of money. And that's often not the case. So that's a really powerful question to ask and let them answer it rather than make that assumption for
Yeah,
them.
the other thing that I thought Roger said is really important that y'all might have missed, because Roger's stories are always intriguing, but before he got into the story, one of the things he said is when he's talking to that attorney, talking to that office, trying to get through that gatekeeper, if you bring up the docket number, if that's in the data that you have, and if we have it, we furnish it to you. If that's the case, citing that docket number, that separates you right there from, you know, Billy Bob just calling off the street. And that's an important tidbit that I had not heard before brought up on this. And that's a very important thing to talk about. So you've got that docket number and you're calling that attorney. Say, well, I'm calling in regard to probate, docket number XYZ. That's going to get their attention real quick. Good. I'll put you right through, or let me see what time he's got available. That's a great idea. So thanks, Roger. I appreciate it. It's always good to hear from you, bud.
Hey, Tim, I see Andy's got his hand up, but I was just going to add to that. Over the years, we've heard subscribers tell us success stories about adding that docket number to both emails to attorneys and letters to attorneys, and even letters to executors. It makes it look like official correspondence. So great job. Andy and Tim are both smiling there. Does that mean you have something to
they're
say?
always smiling. Guys, unmute yourself there. Andy and Tim Tolbert just joined us. For those of you who've been with us for the last several weeks, Tim is our favorite mortgage broker in the world, and in a lot of respects, at least locally, he's my favorite mortgage broker because he does all of our mortgages and has done so for quite a while. And then they just disappeared. I wonder what happened. You guys still-
Wait. Do you need me to keep my hand up?
You're back. No, it's okay. That's fine. And Andy is going to talk with you about the training program that we've been working with them on to build some attendance for. And Alyssa, I believe you have a slide for that. So if you can be ready and pop the slide up as well, we'll talk about that. Andy, go ahead.
Well, basically, I know we've kind of mentioned it before, but the time is almost here. We're starting tomorrow evening. This is a class that Tim and I have been teaching for 20 plus years. Remember, that's our new canned answer, 20 plus. And it's basically usually about half of the people that come to our class are real estate agents, and the other half that come are people that want to invest personally. And this class is a fit for both. And what we're going to talk about is a couple of things. One is how to not do a bad deal. Because when I talk to people about investing, that's their number one fear, is they're going to get into a bad deal and they're going to lose money. So we're going to talk about different ways to protect yourself from that. We're going to talk about how to use other people's money to fund your deals. I can actually show you that using other people's money is going to make you more money than using your own, even if you have cash. We're going to talk about contracts and how to structure a contract so it protects you in the deal. We're going to talk about how to fund deals, how to structure them, both in and out. We're going to talk about owner financing. We're going to talk about lease purchases. We're going to talk about wholesaling, retailing, rentals. We're going to talk about the tax ramifications of those different ways of structuring a deal, because there's in fact, just, what was it, about 2 weeks ago in one of our classes, one of the ladies, we started talking about some tax ramifications of different deals. And she called us after and she's like, I've got a house that I'm supposed to be selling in 3 weeks. and it's 3 weeks shy of 1 year. And we're like, oh yeah, you need to try to delay that closing by 3 weeks if you can, because that's going to be a huge tax difference for you. So, long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains, 1031 exchange. But what I love about this class is we've had people literally come into it with zero knowledge of real estate. And they went out and did their first deal literally the Tuesday following the class, like 2 days later. So our mission that Tim and I have made is in the next couple of years, we want to help 1,000 people go what we call job optional, where you've got a passive income stream from your real estate investments that if you don't ever want to set an alarm clock for the rest of your life, you don't have to. That's our mission.
Great. Well, and we just posted something in chat that kind of is also a bit of a summary of that. And if you're interested in that and want to go get that done, just go into alltheleads.com/training and scroll down to the complete investment, and you'll be right there, and that'll give you what you're looking for, and we can get you signed up. And I can tell you that if you want to learn about this and if you're a realtor and you've been wanting to think about learning to be involved on the investment side, this is the place to get it and get it easily. These are great teachers, great people, and they make it easy for you, easy to understand, and they're around and going to be able to be followed up with. And also, Tim, I believe you are offering to do some analysis of deals for them. Is that right?
Yeah, we do we help with we're more than open to helping with deal analysis, active ones you have in process. If you have a portfolio already, a lot of times a second set of eyes can help improve that portfolio. Sometimes you look at them and say, hey, maybe we need to liquidate this one and acquire a couple of different ones, which is actually what Andy and I have done in the last 12 months is we've looked at some of our properties and say, hey, they look like they kind of capped out. The taxes and insurance has gone up. Let's go ahead and liquidate those, reinvest in a different area or a different market that is giving us. So we're taking, say, for example, a $700 a month positive cash flow and turning it into as much as a $2,100 cash flow based on just moving assets.
Great. And are you guys talking about exchanges in this as well?
Yep. And the pros and the cons to them, because there's both sides. Sometimes you want to, sometimes you don't. If you have a property with a really low basis in it, maybe you want to pay the tax bill, so you can have that increased stepped up depreciation on the future investments. So it's just different things to look at when you're considering doing or not doing. And we're not going to tell you yes or no, don't do it one way or the other. We're going to give you the information so you can make an educated decision.
Okay, great. Listen, I appreciate you guys hopping on. I know you've got busy days, so we always appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to mute you guys back out. Winston's
No
got his,
problem. Hey, Winston.
I think Winston maybe wants to talk to them. Winston, did you want to talk to them or comment on them?
Okay, well, go ahead, Winston. Go ahead.
All right, guys, want to make sure you can hear me here, but before you went away, Tim, I have to thank you, okay, for the time you brought Tim Talbert on. I found it an interesting talk that he gave. He got my attention with the DSCR loans. And I gave that some thought, called him up, and we actually did business. He took good care of me. He got the thing done. I was impressed with his service. I was impressed with his processor. He was on top of business. He did a good job. And I just want to say publicly in this forum, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Now, how are you guys related? I've forgotten.
It's a joke, Winston. It's
cousins,
Uncle Tim.
You're so funny. We're married. I'm kind of stuck with him, but
I see. They're great people, and boy, that's pretty great testimonial, because that was only like 3 or 4 weeks ago that you came on and first raised that issue. And so, kudos to you, Winston, for getting involved in it as well, and taking quick action to make something happen. That's what this is all about. It's good stuff.
yeah. And I love, and you guys, if you're a new investor, this class is an absolute no-brainer. But if you're not a new investor, maybe you've already done some deals, maybe you've even been doing it for, like Jim has, 50 years, I promise you're gonna get something out of this. You are in a different place. You're gonna hear something that maybe 10 years ago you didn't need to hear. You need to hear it today. And Tim and I kind of think different than your standard class you've been to. Jim just got in on our 5-day retirement challenge a couple weeks ago, and I think that he enjoyed it. The feedback he gave us is that he enjoyed it. So it's not just for newbies. This is whatever level you are, or if you're a realtor working with investor clients, this is the place to be. And Tim, I didn't even clear this with you, but if they come to the boot camp this weekend and don't think it was worth their piddly amount of money that they spent on it, I'll refund them at the end. I don't care.
Cool.
I mean, I do care. I absolutely do care, because I know that once you're in the class, you're going to be blown away.
And what are our subscribers paying you for that?
You're giving it to your subscribers for only $397 for a 2.5-day boot camp, including the manual and including the portfolio review if you have a portfolio. So
And
it's
that's
ridiculous.
I think that's $100 off your normal fee. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, again, we wouldn't recommend it if we didn't believe in it. And Jim did in fact sit through the other one. And I've known Andy and Tim for longer than I've known Jim. And they're, two better people do this, you're never going to learn it from. So this is not like something we don't trot very many people out. We don't ever make this call a pitch fest. And this is one of the few times we've actually got something that we think's worth your consideration. So I'm going to take John's question. John.
Hey, before you do, I just wanted to repeat my recommendation that the class I took, I said, I learned a couple things I didn't know. I was reminded of a few things I forgot I knew. And probably the most important, I think you really reminded me and got me excited about why I got into real estate in the first place many years ago. So great class. Go ahead, John.
Hey, thank you guys. I've been into real estate just since April. And I'm considering signing up for the base package, none of the investment type stuff, just to get started. What have you found success wise when somebody's first got off and as far as landing deals based off of, the probate resource you guys offer? Do they typically end up waiting months before anything comes out of it, or do they sometimes see it sooner?
John, it depends on any number of factors. And I can tell you that the answer ranges from immediately to a while. And it literally, part of it involves you, part of it involves the very nature of the leads themselves, your market, and all the rest of that. We recommend that you get after it immediately, and it builds over time. This is not a business that if you're going to get to it and get started and take 1 month's worth of leads, you're going to be real happy and it's going to be successful. We kind of look at that and say, well, that's kind of like taking your leads and putting them under your pillow and hoping the tooth fairy is going to leave money. That doesn't work very well. You've got to make a commitment, and you've got to, you've got to do the things that you need to do. You need to invest not only your time, but you need to get your marketing out there. That's a key element in the process. If you're willing to make the investment of your time and a little bit of money to get it done, then you'll start seeing results. And Bruce isn't on here, but Bruce will certainly tell you that it looks like to him that, in a 90-day period, you're going to start seeing results for sure. And of course, we don't guarantee any of it because we can't. We don't know what you're going to do. We don't know what the leads are going to do for you. But generally speaking, that's a reasonable time to start seeing some action. Seeing money depends on what you're approaching them for. If you're an investor finding an opportunity, you may well find one. If you're in a state where they can carve the real estate out, and I know you said you're not looking at it from an investment standpoint, but if you were an investor, there are ways to carve the real estate out of the probate, and it doesn't have to wait for probate to close. In some cases, it's going to be necessary for that to happen. But there are lots of ways to make deals before that happens, so that you know that when that probate closes, you've got it handled. So I think the answer to that is that, if you kind of get started with us, it's a good way to go. And Jim, I know you have something to say there, so go ahead, bud.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add, John, it's almost an advantage you have at being brand new is a good percentage of these people are not local. they don't know you from the guy that's got signs all over the place and done local marketing and has TV commercials and everything. You're really on equal footing with the most experienced agents out there, especially when you're dealing with the absentee owners. And I don't want you to expect this, but one of my all-time favorite stories, Tim, do you remember the guy? It was probably about, we have a subscriber who's been with us about 3 years now, but several years ago, he was on a call and he had done a mailing and gotten 5 appointments and took 3 listings. And we said, wow, is that, that's great. I mean, how much will that increase your business this year? He said, well, I got my license last month. That was my first 3 deals, my first 3 appointments. So, I mean, so it ranges anywhere from that, getting really, and that is luck if you get lucky like that the first month. And the other extreme, we have way too many people to give up too soon. If you look at this as a 3 to 6 month commitment and stick with it, one of our salespeople always says the fortune's in the follow-up. And that is so true of probate leads. Some of these people are ready right away. Some of them will be ready in 3 months. You can call a list of leads that's a year old and some of those will finally be ready. So don't look at it but stick with it. Make a 3 to 6 month commitment. Just follow the program. It's really simple. Get the lead, send a letter, follow up with a phone call. If you just do that, over 3 to 6 months, you'll get a great return on your money. And don't look at being new as a disadvantage. I think you're on, like I said, you're on equal footing with everybody else being a brand new agent because of the nature of the leads. And Ken, you were shaking your head. Did you have something to add?
I would just say on the real estate end, get some help. I mean, the deals are out there. I mean, literally it's easy. Like it's enjoyable to make the phone calls. The deals are out there, but get help on the real estate end, because that's going to take a little bit longer to put together than making the phone calls. If you make the phone calls and you follow the scripts that we provide, that should happen relatively quickly. But the actual transaction end of it, that's a little more complicated. So I would suggest that you have somebody that is, good at what they do. So when you get into the nuances of the deal, you're able to see it through. And even though you'll split that commission, everybody pays for their education. So don't look at it like you're losing money. Find somebody who's knowledgeable, get that support, and then that'll give you the confidence to get on the phone. Like, I got this, I got it handled. So yeah, get in action though.
And I'll say one other thing, John. One of the values of getting started with us, as you said, pull the trigger. You get not only, we're not just a lead vendor. This is a systems business. Not only do you get leads, not only do you get the opportunity to get very creative with your marketing from a mail standpoint, we do that and we can do it for you. We create a custom credibility website for you to build your relationship with those customers. And as importantly, if not more importantly, you get people like Ken and Jim and the other 2 coaches who are on here, and occasionally Andy and Tim Tolbert. We've got a cadre of folks here who will help you when you run into something that you need some help with. That's what we're here for. This is a support organization. So you couldn't be in a better place at a better time. Okay, man?
Appreciate it, fellas.
We'll look forward to hearing from you. Have you spoken with any of our team yet? If not, have somebody reach out to you and we'll get with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to talk to somebody for sure.
All right.
Hey, John, are you in our system? Are you a lead in our system? Do you know?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. I'll find you then. We don't have too many John Buzels. Is that, did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah.
So I'll have your appropriate person reach out to you right after the call. All right. Thank you, sir.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Got one more thing that came in via Facebook, and I want to take this one and we'll kind of close with this, unless somebody else wants to raise their hand real quick. The question was, what type of relationships can be forged with nursing and retirement homes or funeral directors that don't seem tacky or inappropriate? And, we actually teach you how to do that. It's one of the things that, we think is an important part of building that community-oriented relationship in terms of getting that done. You need to be able to do those kinds of things. We have certainly got subscribers who have absolutely focused time and energy, and we'll kind of separate funeral homes from assisted living and senior citizens and memory care places like that, you've got to think to yourself, what are you going to be walking in there talking about that doesn't seem like you're a ghoul, like you're, just waiting for the people that you're surrounded by to pass away so that you can find a way to, predatorially go in and get their house. And that's not it at all. You really want to work with the families, and that's where you want to lead with. It's not like you're trying to say, so, hey, the next time somebody passes away here, let me know who it is so I can get after it. You want to create something, maybe create a flyer that literally talks about the services that you provide to those kinds of folks, and realize that one of the more, and I always talk about this one of the more important things you can deal with is that if someone's there and they're coming out of that house, one of the biggest challenges families have is that house is filled with their possessions. And that's a problem. And that's what, it came up earlier in the call that Roger was talking about, getting someplace cleaned out. The possessions of the loved ones are important. So that's one of the things certainly that you can talk about is a great topic of conversation. But creating a nice little threefold brochure that talks about that and, has a nice tagline on it that's innocuous and really complimentary is a good thing to go do, to explain exactly what services you provide and all that. And don't lead with the real estate. Lead with the services that you offer. Let people know that they're a resource in the community that focuses on that kind of stuff, that focuses on what happens when a house or a family member is moving forward and moving into the final chapter of their life. What should people do to prepare for something like that? And that's important. That's very important. So those are the kinds of things that you want to make sure that you're dealing with. As far as a funeral home is concerned, it's the same kind of story. If somebody is coming in, particularly on a pre-need basis, then on a pre-need basis in a funeral home, they're buying cemetery property and they're preparing for end-of-life experiences. So again, it's the same story. What things do you provide in that arena? And it's just one more part of your marketing that you can put out. Put a trifold together, and it's the same kind of thing. But getting a relationship with a funeral director or a funeral home, that would be a golden relationship to have, because you really want to know that. And we focus on those relationships corporately because we work with funeral homes and places like that on the pre-probate side. As we put pre-probate together, we work with notices of death, and in often cases, that's where those start. So, we have resources there as well. Anything that you can do to do that, keep in mind that you never, ever, ever want to be looking like a predator. You never want to look like, oh, I'm coming in the door and I'm going to get that house. That's not what you talk about. You talk about the services that you're offering. What are the people on your team that can help them? And you're the conduit to getting that done. Jimmy, you got anything to add to that?
The only thing I would say is, and remember the administrator at the nursing home, it's their job to keep that place full. They're going to want to hear from you. You're going to have people, mom died, we got to get dad in a nursing home before we can sell the property. So you're going to want to get them placed, and they're going to want to get referrals from you. And it works the other way. Let them know, hey, I'm going to send you those referrals. If somebody walks in and needs to sell real estate, you send them to me. Make them, just like so much of what we do, make it a reciprocal relationship, and it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
great.
I know it's not for everybody too, but if you could set up a 15-minute presentation about trust, as probate professionals, you get somebody on the phone who says, hey, my mother or father prepared a trust, so I don't even have to wait for the court date, which is probably 2 or 3 months out. Like, wow, your mom was so smart, your dad was so smart, because they set that up properly so you wouldn't have to suffer through the court process. But you set up a little presentation, 15 minutes, you go into these retirement homes. These people have time, right? So they're looking for things to do. So if you can come in there and be engaging for 10 or 15 minutes, most of those people would happily let you in, because it keeps their residents, awake, alert, and gives them something to do. So a small presentation would be a great idea.
And they will oftentimes set up a presentation for you and do some marketing for you to present to the families. I've seen folks that are doing that every month that they have a monthly family seminar talking about, what happens at the end of life. And if you can get that going in an assisted living facility, memory care, any place like that, man, that's golden. Again, this is a long-term business. You're trying to be the expert in that marketplace. Hey, we're at the end of our time. I want to say one more thing before we get off. I always notice that right around the 2 o'clock time frame, I think there are people that hop on the call, and I'm wondering if they're getting the email that we send out somehow delayed until 2 o'clock, because it's a 1 p.m. Eastern time call. And we point that out on the email, but a couple of you who've just kind of joined late here, if you're seeing that, make sure that you're aware that this call starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and please join us at that time, because we don't want you to miss out on what we talk about here, and we appreciate you being here. But invariably, right around 2 o'clock, we get 2 or 3 people that jump up on the call. So I want to make sure that when we start. Hey, Jimmy, I think we're done, buddy.
All right. Well, I want to just go back to the beginning of the call. If you're on this call and you're not an affiliate, you probably should be. Go to the link we gave you, or Alyssa just put up a link if you want to talk to me about it directly. Schedule 15 minutes to talk to me. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to thank you, Andy and Tim. Particularly thank those that actively participated. I want to challenge each of you. Take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Same time next Thursday. Take care.
Bye-bye.